Severe weather and heavy snow blanketed the United States for the last day of winter, but is a pattern change in store as we begin spring? We have all the details and more next at the Weather Farm. Welcome to the Weather Farm. As we begin our broadcast today, we are taking a look back at some of the snowfall reports that fell across the Central Plains on our Wednesday. We saw general 4 to 6 inches of snow across parts of northwestern Kansas into southeastern Nebraska. Around Grand Island, we do have some amounts that are exceeding 12 inches of snow. As we made our way up through northwestern Iowa, we saw continued general 4 to 6 inch amounts. Some of those higher amounts were found in Iowa, approaching 8 to 10 inches. But as we got closer to the Minnesota border, that's where we saw the bullseye with snowfall amounts in excess of 12 inches just west of Marcos City, Iowa. So the snow was definitely one to remember as we ended the winter season. As we begin our Thursday, we are seeing that snow continue to make its way to the northeast, bringing snow through Michigan into Ontario and Quebec. We have rain moving up as that warm air gets wrapped in to this 992 millibar low for our Thursday. And that rain extends all the way down to the Gulf Coast. Behind it, we see a trough digging all the way down into the deep south. Look at that 540 contour height line. It is all the way down into Texas and Louisiana, allowing cooler air to filter down into the Central Plains as it makes its way east over the upcoming days. Out west, we are looking at rain along the coast and higher elevation mountain snows. And across Manitoba, we do have some light snow making its way across the Canadian prairies for our Thursday. Temperatures on our Thursday, where we saw that snow on Wednesday, temperatures will be held down because of the deep snowpack in the 30s to near 40. But you saw where that 540 height contour line existed. And so that's allowing cooler air to filter down into the eastern half of the United States as we see widespread 30s and 40s, middle 40s making their way all the way down into central Alabama and northern Georgia for highs on our Thursday. And as that system continues to move towards the east, we see those warmer temperatures being pumped north. Burlington, Vermont, you could be at 51 degrees. Maine, you could be in the low 40s for your Thursday. Temperatures across Texas have cooled from the high temperatures we saw over the weekend with general 60s and 70s. Places like Albuquerque, New Mexico, you're going to be in the low 50s for your Thursday. And really, as we've seen for the last couple of weeks, the real cold air is going to be kept bottled up into Canada, just to the west of Hudson Bay, where we'll see temperatures in the single digits to below zero on our Thursday. But by the time we get to our Friday, that system continues to make its way off to the north and east. But what has happened on our Thursday afternoon into Thursday night is we've seen a secondary low form off the North Carolina coast, and it's riding its way up the eastern seaboard. So it is going to continue to bring rain to places like Cape Cod, to Long Island, into Maine. And on the backside, we're going to see heavy snows through Vermont and New Hampshire. How much snow? We will have that in our next forecast. That Clipper system that was moving through Manitoba, it's now bringing light snow into Ontario. Generally 1 to 3 inches is expected. We do have light snow across the northern Great Plains, across the Dakotas, and out west we continue to see more rain and more snow for that part of the country. You guys have seen a lot of precipitation over the last week, and it is much needed for this time of year. Temperatures on our Friday, though, we will see a slight rebound from our Thursday temperatures. We'll still have that narrow pocket of where that snow completely hasn't melted from eastern Nebraska through Wisconsin. Temperatures will be slightly lower there, but we are warming up about 10 degrees in most locations from our Thursday. Even down in Texas, we're seeing the return of the 80s as well as 60s across the southeast. Now, these temperatures are a little bit below normal for this time of the year, but for the first full weekend of spring, we will take these temperatures to begin our weekend. So let's put our 500 millibar anomaly chart into motion. So we see that trough that moved through the Ohio Valley on our Thursday. It's making its way to the East Coast, but over the weekend we have yet another system making its way through the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. And then by the time we begin our Monday, we have a trough that will bring mixed precipitation, not mixed precipitation, it'll bring precipitation to the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. And we see that ridging starting to build out in the west, and it tries to move, and it does for about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week before yet another shot of colder air, a trough digs across the northeast as we close out March, and it kind of retrogrades a little bit. And so it does keep the eastern third to quarter of the United States in that northwesterly cooler flow of air as we begin our April. But there are signs that as we get past the first few days of April, the weather pattern in the eastern half of the United States is definitely going to flip, and it is going to turn into a much warmer pattern. And we see this here in our CFS V2 models. We've shown these from time to time. So this upper left one, that's where we are right now. And so we see those greens and that colder air digging across the northern plains into the Ohio Valley. That's what's going to bring the below normal temperatures for this upcoming weekend and by the time we get into early next week. As we jump down to the next video, we do see that, as we saw in the 500 millibar chart, we do see that ridging of warmer air trying to move east, while we see the core of that colder air, that trough, it is being centered across parts of Ontario and Quebec into the northeastern part of the United States as we close out the month of March. But then we jump to the upper right, and we see that warm ridging building across most of the United States, while a trough does tend to form along the British Columbia coast into the Gulf of Alaska, into the Pacific Northwest. So that's going to bring a period of unsettled weather to that part of North America as we begin the first few days of April. But by the time we get to that lower bottom right picture, we see warmth and ridging building all the way up into Alaska by the time we get to the second full week of April, and that warmth is spread across the lower 48. So we do see signs of warmer temperatures in our future, and sustained warmer temperatures at that. Jumping back though to our forecast in the more near term, on our Saturday we'll continue to see snow being spread across Ontario and Quebec and associated with an area of low pressure to the east of Hudson Bay. It'll be light snow showers. The Intermountain West, again, is going to have those snow showers in those higher elevations. But most of the country is going to be very quiet with almost a zonal flow from west to east. The exception being that slight trough that exists in the eastern half of the United States from the northern plain into the Ohio Valley up towards Maine. So we will have slightly cooler and unsettled temperatures across this area for our Saturday. But by the time we get to Sunday, that snow has moved out of the Rockies, and it is now formed into an area of low pressure, and that another strong system could be bringing some significant snow to the Dakotas, into Minnesota and northern Wisconsin by the time we get to Saturday evening into Sunday morning. This particular model wants to show it at a 992 millibar low by the time we get to Sunday morning. Out across the Ohio Valley, through Missouri into Kentucky, we're going to see rain showers. And as those rain showers and as that warm air continues to move towards the east, and at the trailing cold front with that low pressure sweeps through the Central Plains, it is going to provide the mechanism for a period of potentially severe weather across the Kentucky and Tennessee areas into the southeast by the time we get to our Sunday afternoon. And we see that by Monday morning, that cold front has made its way all the way down into the southeast, and we see colder temperatures through the Ohio Valley back to the northern plain as we begin our next week. So let's take a look at that system for the weekend a little more in depth. So here we are on Saturday afternoon. We start to see that low getting its act together across the Dakotas. As the cold air wraps in, it's bringing heavy snow. But look at the rain that develops across Kentucky and Tennessee. We start to see a line that will slide through the Tennessee Valley into the southeast from our Sunday late afternoon, about 6 to 8 p.m. in the afternoon, into the nighttime hour. We don't expect this system to be a severe thunderstorm system or a tornadic system like we saw last weekend. We just expect a lot of straight-lined wind and heavy rain as that line of storms makes its way through the Tennessee Valley into the southeast on our Sunday evening. To the north, we're going to see snow falling at a heavy rate. And as this system gets a little bit closer and we get a little more data on it, we'll be able to provide you a little more information about exact snowfall totals that we're thinking, but there could be some significant snow across the Dakotas and northern Minnesota. The other thing that we do need to talk about, and does tend to get lost in the midst of all of our blizzard warnings and our severe weather and tornado outbreaks, is the fire danger. So for our Thursday, we are going to see the area we've been focused on across the Southwest, New Mexico, into Texas, into the panhandle of Oklahoma, into southeastern Colorado. You're going to have a critical danger places like Roswell, towards Lubbock, Texas, and then an elevated risk elsewhere across that area. But a new area that we've not really focused on much lately is going to be across the east coast of Florida, including places like Orlando down to Palm Beach. We're going to see a critical risk of fire danger. So maybe if you're down there for spring break this week, maybe you're wanting to have a beach bonfire, maybe you put those plans on hold. Pay attention to the local conditions, because we're going to see gusty winds. We're going to see dry conditions. All of this can lead to the spread of some wildfires across the east coast of Florida. And while we're talking about those fires, as we look towards the possibility of precipitation, we're not going to really see it in those areas that really need the rainfall across Texas, across New Mexico, across Florida. It's going to be confined to the northern half of the United States. And really, the greatest chance of having above normal precipitation is going to be in the Pacific Northwest as we close out the month of March. Now, with these systems, these snow systems, and these storms that are making their way through the northern plains into the Ohio Valley and Northeast, that's going to give us a greater chance of having above normal precipitation for this time period. We hope you've enjoyed this forecast from the Weather Farm. It is a rare Thursday forecast for us, so look forward to another video tomorrow morning with your weekend forecast. We hope you have a great day. Let us know what you are doing today on your first day of spring. What traditions, what are the things you are looking forward to seeing as we begin a new astronomical season? We hope you have a great day, and we hope to see you again real soon.